Hey everyone, welcome back to Exclusive Consciousness. This episode is called Everything is Performance Art because I often suffer with the dilemma of being on social media and basically seeing some war-torn country, right, being attacked. I'm talking about Ukraine and Russia. Even if it's just news, or there's a serial killer out and this person got murdered, or there's a terrorist in our country, or there's just an attack, or something horrible is happening, or there's kids in cages. And the only thing that we as humans have the ability to do, aside from share and comment, is like. And I know Facebook eventually, after years, added all these other, reactions you can have. But think about, I'm not a psychologist. I don't study this stuff. But I do have a brain, and I do definitely use it. And I can tell you this much. If you yourself really break it down and start to realize that you're liking disaster, you're liking tragedy, you're liking death, and that's all you can do, because you know this, that liking creates awareness, right? And creating awareness sometimes is what we want to do when we see a video that we think other people should see, right? But the problem is, in your brain, you're desensitizing yourself to these horrible things by saying, I like them, I like this, I like that. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense what I'm saying? It's such a hard topic to talk about because I find myself constantly thinking of new ways to improve our social media. Like having other types of reactions would just be such a great, thing to have. Or even just a button that says suppress and another button that says boost. And it's just that. Instead of having to like things, we can just say, hey, you know what? I don't really want people to see this. I so suppress it. Or, hey, this information's important. Let's boost it. And it's just that's literally a different way of approaching it, And honestly, I would love to see those types of changes, because liking stuff and liking everything over time is just numbing the brain to reaction, to basically what it takes in and what it sees all the time. It basically would become like, I know we are all computing machines in a way where we're just taking in information and cataloging information and memorizing information. But at some point, it's like that information needs to mean something, and that information is going to want to do something with all that information. Does that make sense? The brain eventually is like so self-aware that it's like, we know too much. Let's go help the world. Let's go really try to make something of ourselves, or add to the, whatever the fuck, you want to add to, We live this life thinking that the only thing that matters is what we post online. And I think it becomes extremely difficult to try to find a way out of that, try to find a place where the online world doesn't matter as much as the real world does. I think so many of us, when we were younger, at least me, when I was in high school, I was just getting introduced to the internet, social media world as everybody else was in the world. So like when I got Instagram, I was a freshman, and I think Instagram had only been out for like a year before that, or a couple months. And I literally was introduced to it with the whole world in a time when, you don't really expect it to mean so much, And looking back on it, I definitely didn't think, Instagram was going to matter that much. I definitely didn't think Facebook was going to be all the craze, and that they were going to take over the information, like black market, I should say, like seriously, Mark Zuckerberg owns like the most information, the most meta data in the world, like every kind of way of thought. He has some capsule of it in his, safe of information. He's almost like the villain Brainiac. I see Mark Zuckerberg is always compared to like an alien or like a reptile or some hybrid creature, because people don't believe he's human. But he kind of reminds me of the Superman villain Brainiac, which I think is kind of funny. But Mark Zuckerberg is actually somebody who inspired this episode, because I feel like he himself is constantly having to go through the performance anxiety of being a public figure, which I know a lot of people, I'm sure, who have made their success in this world, suddenly having cameras in their face, suddenly having microphones in their mouths, and suddenly having to decide whether they're going to be good or bad for the world. Are you a villain or a hero? What do you try to present yourself as? And you know, climbing on from what we discussed in the last episode, being in the spotlight is often performative and is often falsified to an extent to where the character that you're seeing isn't reality, isn't the person behind the mask. It's not the person when the makeup comes off and is laying in their bed and is thinking about the world. They're not that person. I would say 95% of the time that's the case. Like, for example, a lot of people love Elon Musk. A lot of people love to worship Elon Musk, and they love to give him attention. And I totally understand, like, people being smart is something that has always been accredited to great successes and of our times. Like, you look in the past and you look at the great philosophers and you look at the great scientists and you look at the great architects who build our cities and made our elemental charts and whatever the fuck you want to talk about. But it took people who really had the guts to go and try something different to make civilization move forward, is what I'm saying. And yes, Elon Musk can be in ways thanked for certain things, for like helping make electrical cars more efficient and more mass, I guess, produced, and become more of a topic of conversation. But I don't think that this man knows all. I don't think anybody knows all. I think relying on somebody else to have all the answers for your life is a very stupid way of living, if I can be quite frank. Personally, I don't like the idea of somebody else having full control, and that's why my relationship with the Lord is so strong for me, because faith to me is absolutely letting go of everything. Like, every single aspect of your life can be let go of right at this moment, and you won't even have to worry about it or think about it or have any type of attachment to it. Like, literally any little element could just be removed and you would say, well, I guess it's gone. I guess I have to live without it. Or life completely could just disappear and you have to be okay with it. That is the type of detachment I'm talking about when it comes to the faith and type of relationship that you eventually want to work towards having with God, because he'll use you in ways and he'll gift you things and he'll show you favor in ways that nobody else experiences. Nobody. You almost feel like you're one of the characters in the Bible, and you're just kind of going through your life going, wow, the Lord made something happen there. And that little push or that little shift or that little change that might have come in that moment, that created waves and helped other people and, manifested in basically you having a part in creating somebody else's happiness. And I think that's the love of Christ right there. Being able to create other people's happiness, being able to be very appreciative and grateful and understanding and compassionate, as a society is very hard, and it's always been very hard. I think history teaches us to be the opposite at times, to be very not willing to work with the poor, but now it's like people are literally like desperate to help other people, because it's just like sad to see homeless people on the streets, but as a society, it's like we have lost our touch of, hey, let me go help a neighbor. We're so skeptical, and I'm this way too. I get to the point where like I'll be looking over my shoulder every single time I go outside and just be like, who the fuck is around me, and like, who are these people? Because you just never know these days. You just never know. You have to be cautious and aware, and that's just reality. Like, I'm not saying that to freak you out, and I'm not like that all the time, but there are moments, and that's when your gut instinct will kick in, because suddenly you're just gonna be like, this situation feels weird. And I promise you, I'm going to tell you guys some stories throughout the years that I've experienced while living in Los Angeles, and just like experiences that I had back home in Texas, and even just like experiences that I had growing up. And I'm going to share just moments that I think were very meaningful to me and were pretty much life-changing, and helped me become a better person, and helped me realize that I have to be able to fix the brokenness inside of me first before I try to fix the brokenness inside of other people. When two broken people meet, they become desensitized of each other's pain, and then they become desensitized of pain in general. The few times I've been depressed, I literally have just not wanted to do anything. I've become desensitized to the world. I don't want to be involved. I don't want to participate, and participation takes effort, and effort takes time, and time is just something that I think about, and it just creates anxiety. So I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that go through that and have been through that. But my whole point is, it's like, we are always creating, we are always filming, we are always using each other in our own worlds. Does that make sense? Like, we use each other in ways where we want other people to like our content. We want other people to comment. We want other people to share. So it's like, we want to use each other to grow our following, even if it's just like a couple people, even if it's just your family. There's this sense that we're constantly performing for other people or for something else, right? And that's where I want to get into the root of this topic, now starting kind of to wrap up here. But the idea that we are investing all this time, all this effort, but for what, right? And for who, right? I create for the Lord, and I give all glory to the Holy Spirit, right? Jesus died so I can live. He made the ultimate sacrifice for us. So have faith that he will get you through this troubled time as well. Just focus on seeking truth in everything you do. Success comes from the Lord. What is the messaging? What is the purpose behind it? That's what you need to think about. What is the messaging? What is the purpose behind my art, behind what I'm performing for, or who I'm performing for? It's like, am I doing this for my family? Am I doing this for my friends? Am I doing this because I actually want to share this? And the truth is, it's like, when you're in a dark place, it's very hard to get out of it, because you don't think that there is an exit, and it takes another person coming in going, hey, I know the way out, because guess what? I've been through it. I experienced it. It's hard to speak from the heart sometimes, because you feel like there's blockage, because you never know what you might say and whether people might agree with you or not. And you start to worry too much about what people are going to think, when in reality, you just wanted to speak from the heart. There was something you wanted to share. Things that aren't performance, when you really get down to their core, it really becomes to that person not being performative. It comes down to their identity not being performative. If that person, you truly meet them and you can say, wow, that was genuine. I had a genuine interaction with that person. I can call it as I see it, and I'm calling it as a genuine interaction, then you've met people who are quality, and those are the types of people you want to hold on to and really grow with. So it's like, stay away from performative, stay away from fake, stay away from people who constantly tell you that you can't do something, or that something won't work out, without ever putting some thought into it, or putting even the effort into trying to see if it'll work. Because people like that don't know, and people like that do not want to know, and don't want to care enough to know. But you should, and I think you will, if you take the time to look inward and study yourself. So that wraps up episode 2. Thank you so much for listening. Leave a review, leave 5 stars, if whatever platform you're listening on. I really appreciate it. This is going to come at you weekly. Every single week is going to be a different title that is just going to take us into a different topic of conversation, that is just going to take me into my stream of consciousness and seeing what comes up. Bless up, everyone. Praise God. Give him all the glory. We're all alive. We're all still here. We're all still beating. Our hearts are still going. The blood is still pumping. Our eyes can still see. Our ears can still hear. Our hands can still clap. So give it up for everybody who's working on this thing, which is just me. So give it up. I'm giving it up for y'all. Y'all take care. We'll see you later.